Oh, oh, oh. Hey, yo, let's go. You know what it is. Another week of that Smoke and Mare show. I'm Mike Rennie. With me, as always, the lovely Mary. How's it going?
It's going good. How about you? Keeneland is starting tomorrow, so
Yeah,
that's really exciting.
right. I love this meet of Keeneland, the fall meet. Great horses, these 2-year-olds, some stuff for the future, some stuff for Breeders' Cup, a lot of stuff cooking at Keeneland. So glad they're running. And yeah, we're ready to fire on that. We got a couple good things to show. Also, we got the one and only Big A, Anthony Stabile, hosted, as you know, America's Day at the Races, Naira's Own. It's a great interview. Huh, Mary?
Oh, it was a lot of fun, and Anthony's a friend of mine, and he's so full of knowledge and experience in this field. So he
Yeah,
shares people interesting stories that I didn't even know about him.
yeah,
So it's a really fun
yeah.
interview that we get to know him and we get to know his role in racing.
Exactly, and he's cool because he could go. You could almost have a bunch of different interviews for how many different ways he can go and how many different places he's been with in racing and stuff. So it was a great interview. We got that coming up. We got a Keeneland Stakes race where to go over. We got Horse of the Week. We got to play at Gulfstream. Coming hot with Gulfstream, so to keep getting better. Darn it, you know how it is. But let's get right into the show. Keeneland's back, like Mary was saying. We are pumped. I love it. We got race 9 Friday. We're going to go with the grade 1, the fillies. They're going 1.16 here. I'll kick it off here. The speed, I think, of the race is going to be the 1, 4, and 11. Think they're going to go. And it's going to set it up for, someone coming off the pace or at least close to it, I think. Some key players, I think, in the race. You got the 1, Wonder Wheel with Cassie and Tyler. You got the 4, Chad Brown and Ortiz Jr. Can't, go wrong there. The betting favorite will probably be the 9, Fun and Feisty, McPete and Leperu. Then you have 10, Kayleen Pletcher Velazquez. We'll go right into that pick. Gave this horse out at Toga. She's a great horse, solid. Ran in a grade 1 last, got 3rd place, I think, last time out in a grade 1. And this is her 3rd or 4th start, and I'm pumped up to see her go again. So I'm on Kayleen from the 10 hole. I like outside post. I don't mind. Think she sits right off the speed and can get them done late there. So I'm back on Kayleen again. Fletcher's had a good run with the female, with the fillies this year too. Also in the 2-year-olds I've noticed. So I'm on Kayleen. What you leaning there, Mary, for this tough race? That's for sure.
It definitely is a tough race, and
Right.
I want to take a value in this. And my
Yep.
value play is going to be Take Charge Brianna, who's the 12 horse, going off 15-1. And I don't quite understand that morning line because of the improvements that I've seen, just looking at the past performances here. I mean, the first out was a maiden 105 and lost to your horse Kayleen and Rarefy.
Yep.
And, next time out came 3rd to Chocolate Gelato, who we saw to be a wonderful horse last weekend at Belmont at the Big A. Finally won that maiden special weight at the last season or the last weekend of Saratoga. And
Yeah.
with the increase in buyers that I expect and the workouts look really great, I could imagine this horse hitting the board and maybe even winning.
I 100% agree. I definitely glanced at that horse because I saw who she's faced, and I take a lot into that. Just as an athlete, you play against higher competition. It usually makes you better when you face lower competition because you've seen better horses. And like you said, she's faced multiple winners next time's out, and she ran well herself. So I'm
Right.
definitely like that 12. And if you saw Mary's horse last week, won at the price at Santa Anita, I think 18-1. So I don't want to leave this horse out. So let's go on that note with the exacta box here. We're going to combo our plays here with the McPete. So we got an exacta box here, the Smoke Mare exacta box. So we're going to go the 9, 10, and the 12. Box those 3 horses up. See what happens here. Smoke Mare exacta. Got the McPete. Got Kayleen. Kayleen's at 6-1 morning blind, but I don't know her odds. Like you said, the odds seem odd even for Mary's horse. That horse could go maybe 10-1. I don't know. I don't see that horse as a 15-1. I like it. So yeah, let's get that home there, huh, Mary?
Yes, we are going to get it home. And, on top of that, these are horses that we all named that were racing at Saratoga. And
Yeah.
when you bring them onto a new track, something else might come of that. You know what I mean?
I totally
on the Keeneland dirt, this is where the Breeders' Cup is going to happen in a couple of weeks. And, as you change surfaces and you change tracks, you never know what could happen.
Exactly. And I expect an exciting day of racing tomorrow at Keeneland. So check that out. That's race 9. And let's jump right into this here. We welcome the Big A himself here. Let's get that interview dialed up. Great chopping it up with him. We could have went for hours and hours. Here is the interview with Anthony Stabile.
And we're loading.
The one and only himself, Anthony Stabile. Thanks for coming on, man.
Mike, Mary, how are you guys?
Great. How are you?
Doing well. Getting ready for a busy October. We already have one big weekend in the books at the Belmont at the Big A meeting. Got another one coming up this weekend. A bunch of winning you're in action, of course. Keeneland opening up. My beloved New York Mets just choked away the division lead in the National League East, but we'll be in the wild card. I'll be at Citi Field this weekend. So lots going on. My favorite time of the year when the Mets are in the playoffs and the racing leading up to the Breeders' Cup, because the World Series and the Breeders' Cup kind of end around the same time. They're the only two sports I really care about. The sport of kings, of course, my first love, in baseball. So fun time of year for me.
I love that.
Especially fun because it's Belmont at the Big A and back at Aqueduct, which I know is your favorite track.
Yes, Aqueduct has a very, very special place in my heart. In fact, with Shea Stadium coming down about a dozen years ago or so, Aqueduct is my favorite place on earth. I've had all of the good things in my life have happened at the Big A, especially professionally. Did my first TV show, did my first episode of Talking Horses over at Aqueduct many, many, many years ago before I went regular. Hosted my HRN radio show from there for many, many years when I was with the Horse Racing Radio Network. Met friends that I still have to this day there. And professionally, probably the biggest thing for me, I've wanted to be a racetrack announcer since I'm about 8 years old. Called my first race there on December 13th, 2018. I've called the full card there. I've called weeks at a time there at this point. So, yeah, everything professionally and personally. The one thing it really hadn't done was affected my personal life much. I met the one there back in March of 2019. So, yeah, I mean, it's just
there we go.
For me, it's a magical place. It's it's if I could walk a straight line across my beloved Belt Parkway and the parking lot, it's about 1.25 miles from my front door. So. The Big A at the Big A has been happening for well over 45 years at this point.
the Big A. I love that. And like you say, that's your spot. And that's where where your family was too, that when they kind of started out? What's kind of background with your family? Where were they started off out in the East there?
Parents met at Aqueduct back in 1975. Yeah. Folks were young when I was born. Mom was 16, dad was 20. But my dad started going to the track. My grandmother took him to the races. My mom started going to the track. Her dad, my grandfather, and her brothers and sister, I should say, went to the track all the time. My dad both of my folks went to the same high school I went to, John Adams, 3/8 of a mile from the back gate of Aqueduct Racetrack. So,
right in.
Yeah, I purposely didn't have gym and lunch. I had bowling gym in high school that started before the school day at 7:45 in the morning. And despite being called the Big A, never took lunch so I could get out of high school at 1:38. I never got to Aqueduct later than the fourth race, even with the 12:30 post. So, yeah, the dad was in high school. The longtime NYRA fans will remember the names Woody and Sue Sedlak. Their son, Mike, who was a trainer for a long time, went to high school with my dad. Mike was getting beat up. My dad jumped in and stopped it. Mike asked him if he went to the track. My father said, yeah, I know you are. I've been with the racetrack. He said, you ever been to the barn before? And my dad said, no. Dad went to the barn and 2 weeks later signed himself out of high school and started walking hots for Woody and Sue Sedlak. So that's how it
great.
Yeah.
That's great. And you were an agent a little bit before the writing. What made you switch it up? Was it short lived? Did you just try? How did that flow make you decide what route to go? Because I know you wanted to be in the game.
Got a scholarship as doing some hot walking for John Paracella. I helped my when people talk about their first job, my first job was helping my dad around the barn when I was 8, 9.
Exactly. Imagine that.
It does not count.
Doesn't count, man.
No, I mean, I got paid in Roy Rogers, which was fine, going up and down the Jersey Turnpike and the Garden State Parkway. My dad didn't really have the quality of horses to be up here, so we spent a lot of time at Philly Park, now Parks, Garden State Park, no longer with us, Atlantic City Racecourse, no longer with us, Monmouth, the Meadowlands. So, but yeah, and kind of just naturally saw how hard it was to be a trainer, a hustling trainer, 6, 8, 10 horses.
Right.
My dad quit training in 1990, became an agent for about 8 years before he went back to training, which is his first love.
Yeah.
And I tried my hand at a few different things and learned, Mike and Mary, very quickly and at a very young age that I was allergic to 5:30 in the morning. Unless we were going fishing or crabbing, I did not want to be anywhere near 5:30 in the morning as a kid. Now I can be a dirty stay out at times. 5:30 in the morning is. There have been plenty of nights where I was coming in at 5:30 in the morning after a full night in Saratoga drinking in Compton's before the pandemic. The deal in Saratoga before the pandemic was if you went out if you said we're going drinking tonight, the night ended with breakfast at Compton's, or you didn't come out with me again.
Or you didn't come out. Okay. Next year.
Work hard, party hard.
I like it. Next year, I'm in.
But I was allergic to 5:30 in the morning, and I really didn't. It wasn't for me. As good as and you know, we talked about this before we went on air. We're talking about my favorite subject tonight, myself. I said that half tongue in cheek. As good as I think I can, as well as I communicate, I'm not a great salesperson. And to be a jocks agent, you have to be a bit of a salesperson. The only job I ever had outside of the racetrack after I started at the racetrack was selling sports advertising. Chad Summers got me the job. We were selling sports advertising about 1.5 miles from Belmont. And you figure to yourself, wow, I mean, this is going to be easy. You're going to get on the phone. You're going to talk sports. You're going to schmooze. I made $68,000 in sales in the first 5 weeks of being at the job. And I said to myself, well, I'm not at the racetrack anymore, but I found my calling. This is nothing. Yeah. It was one of the only guys to ever make a sale like during training. I mean, I sold a $2,500 ad to a small school in Illinois in the Chicago Bulls magazine. I said to myself, this is the easy life. I didn't make a sale for 7 months and they canned me. So I decided, agent, the whole thing, just being a salesman. Yeah. Not for me. I got to have my heart into it. And
that's the fact.
Yeah, not hard with our great sport. But if I don't believe in it or feel it, I can't sell it.
No, I'm with you on that. And that's kind of why I've slid doing kind of at it. We wanted to do this show because I love this. I love this so much. Care for the horses. Want to just bring as much attention as we can to it. You know what I mean? It's kind of the whole idea behind everything. Definitely have the right thing with you on that for sure.
I mean, flash forward now, you and your dad, seem very close. Every time I've seen you guys are very close, and horse racing has really brought you guys together. Can you kind of put into words what that bond is like between you and your father, that you have this passion together that you can do together?
So here's the funny thing. When I was a kid, my mom was the one who taught me how to handicap. I learned a lot of other stuff from my dad, though, because he was the horseman. Folks got divorced about 14, 15 years ago. It does not matter how old you are. You will pick a side. I was 30 and I picked a side, and it wasn't his side originally. And as you get older and you get a little wiser, it's funny, all of those old adages and sayings that your parents teach you when you're young. You never think they're going to come to fruition. And I'm 45 now, and this all used to be brown. All brown. And there's an awful lot of gray in here now. That gray is wisdom.
I hear you. I shaved mine off. I feel you. It's all gray.
Everything they've said has come true. And I'm sure my grandparents said it to them, and it came true. It will come true. You will pick a side. Him and I have mended a lot of fences. We had a great summer in Saratoga. He's back involved in racing now with Crow's Iron Horse Racing. That's what they run under up here. It's one of the 3 Iron Horse racings in action right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, never had a traditional relationship with my parents, really. Was always I was a goody two shoes. I walked the line, straight A's, skipped the year of high school, started St. John's University with 24 credits. I never gave them any real reason.
Yeah.
My lunacy has come later on in life. And I've had plenty of help along the way. But riding the road with them and stuff, just going, cooling out $5,000 claimers at 2 a.m. at Garden State Park, and hoping the Mets were on the West Coast, so you had Bob Murphy to keep your company driving back up the Parkway, and my mom and my sister were on a lot of those trips too. So it was great to be able to have that. And I think another part of it, and this is what I owe obviously they were parents and they taught me right from wrong. But they were also 2 of my best friends. Yeah. And that's really the racing, because we bonded mostly over horse racing. I spent more time with them than my sister did, because she didn't really care for horse racing. I did. And we, a lot of nights, a lot of double headers when I was a kid, from Belmont to Roosevelt or Yonkers. Roosevelt's not with us anymore. The Meadowlands as well. I mean, I remember getting my license. I had a car. My parents bought me a car for my 17th birthday. I failed my road test twice. And I'm not embarrassed. Listen, it is what it is. I'm the best wheelman in Queens now.
Now you can just whip them around.
First place I went with my car was the Meadowlands. Second place I went was Shea Stadium. Friday, Saturday night. I went to Meadowlands Friday night, 2 days after I got my license, and Shea Stadium Saturday. So, and they're big Mets fans as well. So we were able to bond over that. And, again, a friendship as well as a father-son, mother-son relationship, which was amazing, especially with my mom's the best handicapper I know. Period. End of story. You could have David Aragona. You could have Andy Sterling. You could have whoever you want. Give me my mom, give me Phyllis, and I'm good. I'm good to go. So
I don't know. I think I smell a handicapping competition between you and your mother.
I would not accept.
I'll hear you.
That dog won't stop fighting. I'm not taking that challenge, man.
I love it.
Kind of transitioning into you handicapping. You're an analyst on Talking Horses and an IRA for Fox Sports. I mean, Rennie and I, when we do our show, we go over one race usually, and even that feels like it takes a lot of digging of homework and stuff to be able to speak about it. You guys do entire cards for multiple tracks. What type of work goes into doing the homework before you go on air?
It's not only doing the homework, and I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back here. You're also doing different shows for different audiences.
Exactly.
So you're not just preparing. When I print that Thursday form and I handicap that card, this is a bad example because I'm not on America's Day at the Races on Thursday. Sunday, I'll be on both. I'll look at that card and handicap that card for Talking Horses, knowing I'm talking to hardcore religious horse players, right? There's a reason the racing form is called the Bible.
It is.
Because it's like a religion. When you get onto the America's Day at the Races, Saratoga Live, to those programs, you're speaking to a much broader audience.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be a little bit more. You have to be a little bit more general and a little bit more specific at
For
the
sure.
same time, because you can make a general statement that can absolutely get lost. I think part of the biggest problem with promoting our sport are all the intricacies.
It's a fact.
That's one of the biggest problems, because we talk about having to talk to a broader audience, but then there are going to be so many questions they're going to have about the broad statement that you almost have to get into the specifics. I think that's why the team we've put together over at Naira is second to none.
Solid. No, I agree. It's so hard, like you're saying.
Maggie, I mean, there's nobody better at what she does than Maggie Wolfendale Moore. Nobody. Okay.
She is the best. That's a fact.
Acacia Clement, who I know is going to be on the show at some point as well. Acacia's my little sister. We're the A train, big A, little A. Acacia's amazing. You know, Acacia learned from some of the absolute best in the bit. Now, I'm saying that as one of the people she learned from, but she learned from the absolute best. She didn't have to turn her knowledge into what she has, but she's a sponge. She's amazing, and she wears every hat we have on the program.
Yeah, definitely does.
You could say whatever you want about Andy Serling. Number one, he's one of my closest friends. Number two, nobody walks into Aqueduct Belmont or Saratoga more prepared. People may walk in for their job as prepared. Nobody walks in more prepared than Andy Serling. When Lafitte comes in, I mean, we have Lafitte and Greg Wolf running the controls, Jonathan dropping in, Jonathan Kinchin, right? And then we have a guy that's won hundreds of races at every track, 4,550 in Richie Migliori, one of the biggest international riders of all time in Gary Stevens.
Yep.
You sprinkle in a little Paul Duca, Tom Amos for the big days in the Saratoga meet. And, you know, whoever will bring Michelle Yu in on some big days. You know, David has a role as well. Aragon. I mean, if I'm missing anybody, I apologize. But that
You're
team,
the Barstool president, aren't you?
That's yeah. He joined me on the a little Q and Big A this year along with Bobby Flay. But you put that team together, and you know you're going to that proverbial war. You want to take anybody into a battle better than that team? Because I don't.
That's solid. And I love it. That's what I learned from just coming into my Portland Meadows, and you just hear, I come in early, I was always early, and you guys are on. Just hearing those voices in the morning, you know, it's about to roll, you know, get going. But rest in peace, Portland Meadows, too. That's where I learned. I talked to the trainers there, and just like you said, is exactly how I was. Because I didn't know what I was doing, transitioning from poker and stuff to sports years and years ago. And so I'm asking the trainer a question. He gives me a broad, but then I need this, I need that, like you said. So, like you're saying, explaining that is probably the most difficult part. And there was something I was still trying to think about and work on a way for an easy answer. It's tough, though, in this game. I feel like there's so many different ways. You know,
there are no easy answers. And I mean, I didn't give you the best answer to your question, Mary. Doing a card at Aqueduct is a lot different than doing a card at Saratoga. That's not because you don't have the same passion for it. It's just more often than not, the fields are going to be smaller here. There aren't going to be as many as intangibles, right? There's more limited distances. There's no turf for the most part of the season at Aqueduct. Right? You know, some days you're looking at 60 horse PPs. The racing form might be 18 pages. There are days in Saratoga where it's 34. Yeah, just math. I hate math. I hate the math in any of it, but it's just the math.
It is what it is.
You got more pedigree work to do when you're in Saratoga because you have more 2-year-old races and more horses trying turf. So it varies. Like you said, though, you and I have handicapped together. I've seen you handicap races. It's a lot of work. People think that, you're on the air for an hour, you're on the air for a couple of hours. You know, we talked about how this is one of the busiest times of the year, Breeders' Cup. I do some stuff still over at VegasInsider.com.
Nice.
I guarantee you those pre-entries come out Wednesday, October 26th. They draw the regular entries on Halloween, and then the Breeders' Cup's obviously Friday and Saturday. from the day the pre-entries come out on the 26th until Breeders' Cup Saturday night. Classic's going to be run about 5:20. I wish I had $1 for every minute I'll spend looking at those PPs.
Right. It's going to be, especially this year. I mean, this is, I'm pretty pumped up actually for this year. And stuff, obviously, with some horses coming in.
We're doing it right. It's a lot of preparation and it's a lot of work. But listen, they pay me to go to racetracks and sometimes casinos.
Hey.
So
I'm in. We're in.
Exactly. I'm more often than not give it back to them, but they still pay me to go to racetracks and casinos. So.
Hey, it is what it is. Hey, we just want to wrap this up. We go for hours. We got a 30-minute show. Keep it come back. We want to thank the Big A, Anthony Stabile, for coming on and joining us. You know where to find him. Talking Horses in the Morning, all over Fox, Naira Circuit. You'll see him around the tracks. Once again, appreciate it again coming on, man.
Keep up the great work. Love what you guys are doing with the podcast, and we'll talk to you soon. I hope you guys have me back soon.
Thanks, man. For sure. See you later.
Thanks.
And we are back. What an interview. This is so chill. Yeah. That was a good one.
Unless you were not sound or video when my words are getting jumbled right now, but and I might have cut out for a minute.
Now you're back. We're back.
We were all wearing blue. Technical difficulties. We're all wearing blue, and Mike and I are on the cast before, just kind of going over things, and then Anthony comes into the behind the scenes, and I'm like, oh my god, he's wearing blue too.
That's so funny. And we all felt it. Good. I look good. It looked good.
If there's a horse that has the word like blue in it for tomorrow, I think we need to play it because of this.
I'm with it on that. I love that. That's good stuff. Thanks again, Big A, for coming on. And let's hop into this horses of the week. It's kind of Barry, want to give a little bit? I kind of couldn't resist this one. It was kind of on me.
Yeah, John Sessa, who sent in the horse of the week last week, also sent these in. And these are just some wild horses on a trail down in Florida. And he said it's a must-see if you're down in the Gainesville area. And it looks really cool.
Yeah, it was just. He gave me two. I had to post this and also they're both the black and white, which kind of makes me a sucker also for it. But the thing that is wild. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and there's actually a place in Maryland that has wild horses, an island called Assateague. It's like this national park, and the wild horses just trying to roam around this place, and they go swimming on the beach, and it's like majestic.
I love it. I love anything horses like that. Good stuff there. Appreciate that. Keep sending the photos. We appreciate that, everyone. And I got a play of the day here at Gulfstream. Let's see if we go 2 weeks in a row. Last week's Mary's long shot hit. This last week's also my play of the day hit. So let's see if we can run them both back again. Here's the play of the day. We got race 1, Gulfstream out of the gate. It's a maiden special weight, 2-year-olds. We're going with the 5 big save to get it home. That's the 5 big save Gulfstream tomorrow. Let's get back to back on these plays of the days. Keep the picks rolling. Hey, want to thank everyone again. Stopping in a Smoke Mare show, another week down. Appreciate all the support. You guys giving us tons of love. Stuff cooking. Great guests coming on. Everyone, let's cash this weekend. Keeneland, let's get after it. Breeders' Cup coming. Have a good weekend and safe trips to everyone riding.
Thank you.
Peace.